Alright, welcome everybody. Hopefully you can hear me properly and it's not too quiet. I'll move my mic. To round 6 of the Trackstars Formula 2 Championship, live all the way from Belgium. At the lovely, sunny at the moment, Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, because I can't say it as well as Spud can. But yeah, welcome my friend.
Yes, another great introduction from DJ there, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, but we are here for round 7 of the Trackstars Formula 2 Championship. We are located, as DJ said, in Belgium. A bit of a funny joke, inside joke. He thought this was Germany, but yeah, not close enough, my friend. But yeah, yes, it is sunny conditions, like we said. Outside, I can see at the side of the commentary box, it looks like we might have some dry running throughout this qualifying session, DJ. So we'll hope to see some fast lap times from our 15 drivers here this evening.
Yeah, it seems to be a nice and very sunny outside, but I am looking on the weather radar and I do see a little bit of rain over in the distance coming a couple of hundred k's away, but we'll wait and see if that comes across. But yeah, at the moment it's a very nice and sunny day here in Belgium on a lovely Sunday afternoon, Sunday night.
So coming into this round 7, we've had our points after round 6 was concluded at the previous round in Brands Hatch. It is Lunacy extending his championship lead over Xylon 96 from Mash Buds Racing. So Project 1 versus Mash Buds in the top 2. In third place we have Dark 74, but unfortunately is the key factor in this championship. He's not here this evening, DJ.
Yeah, obviously we've got Xylon here as well. Lunacy's taking a late exit out of the pits, as I've seen someone get a penalty here. Aussie's looking done up all his shortcut and bit of escapade there through Puhon. So Griffo seems to be doing the same thing, but yeah, it's a bit odd to see Darg's not there tonight.
Yeah, he sent me a message. He's got some family stuff that he has to attend to, so which is fair enough. Obviously, family comes first over racing. That's why we love having our Sundays just dedicated to racing and having fun with the boys, and making sure that we can all have a great time without having too much contact. So as we see Lunacy run very wide there, that's the line you don't want to take, especially when you go on the wet, DJ. Whether you're on slicks or wet tyres, as soon as you get onto that outside of Rivage, basically you're going to be a sitting duck there and you won't be able to pull the car up. And yeah, especially through here in Puhon as well. You run wide, of course you can take a little bit of exit, but it does get a bit slippery as well.
Yeah, I was running some practice laps and it was obviously just finished raining and then it came dry and I barely ran off the line and it sent me into the wall. So that wasn't pretty at all. But yeah, you make one little mistake around here, it can really definitely pay the price. Obviously, the Formula 2 is light damage, so that's a good thing. So they won't carry engine damage or anything like that. But with a little over 7 minutes to go, they've just finished their warm-up lap and they're just proceeding now. But Venti is still sitting in the pits, so I'm not too sure what's happening here. Maybe he might be off going to the toilet or something like that, but you might want to zoom out of the pits, mate. But yeah, so
exactly, yeah. Well, it's actually, for saying that, actually, it's the first time we get to see an It's Racing esports car for your team, DJ, and hopefully for Jarman, if he's watching this later on, that he gets to finally see an It's Racing esports in F2. So fingers crossed for Venti, he can actually get out there on track and actually set a representative lap time, because otherwise he'll be starting dead last in 15th, which I guess in a way is not a bad thing because it is a very long track and it is only 14 laps this evening. But obviously you never know with the wet, you might be strong in the wet or it might not be strong in the dry, so we'll have to wait and see. But as we see Rugworth coming across the line, coming through Blancham on turn 18, here's a nice flat corner. Ando's right behind him in the WTCC entry, so Rugworth will be the first one to set a representative time in the MSR VL Racing. Cuts in the inside, it gets a little bit too narrow on the exit of that chicane there, so it leads him up to the short line, which is a 1 minute 59, and Ando eclipses that straight away at 1.9 seconds, 157.4, with Rusty Nuts right behind in third. And then as we see drivers still coming through, we only have our top 3 so far, led by Ando.
Yeah, Venti's going out on track here, so hopefully we can wait and see what wait and see what he's got to throw into the mix, because obviously this is his first Formula race here, or Formula race this season. So I'll definitely want to see what he can do, and then I might obviously try and help him improve if I can. Obviously, I'm not exactly the greatest, but I do what I can. But yeah, he's good to see him up in the up in main Formula 2 there. He has come through pre-qualifying and he was top 6, so hats off to Venti there. Obviously not having much experience in a Formula car or anything like that, and I'm pretty happy with seeing him on the grid. Even if he does start first, second, last, anywhere in the middle, it doesn't bother me. He's on the grid, he's giving it a go. So
exactly, and as we see those times coming through, we have Lunacy, the championship leader, so far leading the way in first place. Ahead of Gordok 69, so another pre-qualifier that came through. It's been showing some great form for the WRT boys, especially Gordok and Nightwalker and Oz Soul Reaper. They're those three drivers from WRT have been putting on some stellar performances in the past couple of rounds, with Nightwalker getting back-to-back podiums. So maybe he might be able to get a triplet of podiums this evening, but if it's not a podium, it could potentially be a win for Nightwalker. He's been very strong around this track in recent past, so we'll have to wait and see. He's just ahead of Ando and Aussie and Griffo in the WTCC entries from 4th to 7th. But as we start to look down the grid, I've noticed as well that Zylan looks like he hasn't set any representative lap time yet, so he's just going to come through and start setting his lap time. But I'm guessing there might be only about, maybe we could say about 4 minutes to go, so you'll only have maybe a possibly 2 to 3 laps left of running.
yeah, we've got 3 minutes 50 to go, so they'll probably have 2 minutes, 2 laps, 3 if they're lucky, they cross the line and they time it good. But yeah, it looks like Zylan's putting in his first lap here, so they will only really have 2 green laps to run. But it looks like he's used a lot of tyres there on that warm-up lap. He's got a decent amount of wear on those at the moment, so that's a bit of a worry there.
And as we see, Nightwalker actually move up to 2nd and Rusty in 3rd. So Rusty was in 3rd, and then it looks like he's just dropped back into the pit lane. Yes, but obviously it's a beautiful track. DJ Spa is a classic race circuit, beloved by all drivers and spectators. And as we see, even through here, recent changes in 2022 for this season are coming up through here in Eau Rouge and Radion. There's actually a grandstand now, so they've actually widened up the corner a little bit, so that way they can make it a little bit safer for cars, especially these cars in 2022, the Formula 1 cars, and even for the World Endurance Championship, just to open it up. And obviously we've seen many incidents there. Last year we saw one with Lando Norris in qualifying in the wet, and he had a bit of a 360 or 720 no scope at the top of the hill. And then unfortunately in 2019 we saw the faithful Antoine Hubert go in pretty hard there, and he lost his life in 2019 at the end of that Grand Prix. And many drivers, especially Charles Leclerc, Pierre Gasly, and all of those young drivers in Formula 1 paid tribute to Antoine Hubert, especially when Leclerc won in 2019. He dedicated his victory to Hubert. And I think for a track like that, for upgrades, it will see some better racing. But I think we can say as well, DJ, with the Halo, obviously sometimes with the Halo, it's a great thing to see on the cars, especially on these SF19s. But obviously we've seen previously at Silverstone, if there's no Halo on the car, we could have seen not 1 but possibly 2 lives at risk.
Yeah, well, not even at Silverstone, really. I guess if you look at Roman Grosjean's crash at Russia, obviously it split the guardrail in half, so that really helped him. And then obviously, Silverstone and even Monza as well with Lewis Hamilton there. So it's obviously something that might be a bit of a pain in the butt in person, because you've got to kind of look around it. But you can see here on the game that's they've blacked it out if people do run in cockpit view, so you can see through it. Makes it a lot easier. But yeah, it's definitely probably the smartest and best thing that they ever brought in. So whoever was the maker of the Halo, mate, you've definitely saved many lives. So even in the F2 at Silverstone as well, when the car hit the ripple strip and went over the top, and it actually moved the car out of the way with the Halo. So for such a little addition to the car, it's made such a big impact here. It's starting to get really cloudy there with,
these guys
with
only
40
have
seconds to go.
Oof. So, and Ando's gone to the top there, DJ. So he's set in a very competitive lap there with a 156 flat there with Lunacy still in second. Gordok still holding on ahead of his teammate in Nightwalker. Rusty Nuts in the top 5. Aussie, Soul Reaper in 6th and 7th. Slappers 117 in 8th. And then we see at Warpath 360 and Flyboarding in the top 10. But what I'm not seeing, DJ, is, as for me as a team manager, I'm not seeing my boys in the top 10.
Yeah, Xylon looks like he's on a hot lap here, so he might have chucked in a new set or something's happened here. So we'll wait and see what he does on this lap as we go, about to go checkered flag here.
So all eyes will be on Xylon 96 to see how far he can move up into the grid. So he'll also be making his main series debut later this evening for the team as well. So it'll be good to see Xylon, see him on his outing in main series later on this evening. But obviously this F2 is what it's all about. He's second in the championship, 96 points behind Lunacy in the standings there. So it's a bit of a tall order to ask for him to try and get consecutive victories, but he'll need Lunacy to either have basically either a DC or a string of bad results if he wants to reclaim that championship lead. But as we see Lunacy coming towards the chicane for the final time, can he improve his lap times? He executes his shortcuts the first part and then gets a nice exit out the second. Oh, he goes drifting sideways on the exit of the chicane there. That won't help his lap time. There's a 157, so very unlucky for Lunacy. Does Ando improve his lap time? No, he doesn't actually. So he looks like he's managed to stay there. Gordok is in second, but as we see now, DJ, the rain has come down, and luckily for these guys, the qualifying is over. But we have to look back at Xylon. I wonder if he's actually caught out in all of this rain there, because he hasn't set a time. He's actually coming through the final corner right now. A little bit of water on the track there, so I wonder if that's hurt his confidence as he comes through the line. P11 for Xylon, and his championship rival is second on the grid.
Yeah, that's very surprising there, and you can see, I don't know if you can see it on your end, but it's 0.002 behind Griffo in 10th, so that's something so minuscule there as well. So even Flyboarding 0.041, so you're less than a tenth between 9th, 10th, and 11th. So that's a very tight grid there, but even in the middle, so 0.9 here to 4th, so that's a lot. But it looks like Ando improved his time there too. He did. He's gone from a 56.0 to a 55.9. So he just...
so he did improve.
So he must have just missed that rain there. So he did improve his time. So as we're waiting to see... Okay, they've all finished their lap now.
So I'll have to get Lunacy back onto the past sector 1 there. I don't know if that usually makes a difference. I don't know whether you can just start in the pit lane and it'll put him into second place, but I'm not too sure. But we'll wait for these drivers to go. So yeah, basically what Lunacy just did there, it's the exact same replica of what Lando Norris did in last year's qualifying. He just did 720 no scopes at the top of the hill, went a little bit too wide onto got a little bit of a tank slapper going up Eau Rouge, and yep, that just sent the car full 360. And yeah, it's going to be an advantage to Lunacy over Xylon in this race, DJ. But obviously the rain does come into effect here. So, and the pre-qualifiers have done a lot of did set their times in the dry, so they might not be used to getting some wet running unless they've done the early practice during the week.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting one, I tell you that much. So maybe those guys there in that qualifying that didn't come into pit will be like, okay, how many laps can I do before I come into pit for wets? Will I risk another lap? Will I not risk another lap? Because obviously being 7Ks long this track, if you're stuck up the back and you're still on slicks when that rain comes, it's definitely not a fun time at all. But as these guys just finished qualifying here, they've all parked up at the end of sector 1, so that's all.
Yep, so we've got about two minutes to go. So basically we're going to see a lot of action on these first few laps, DJ, especially when it comes to the dry running. So turn 1 will be a hot spot through La Source, and then basically slipstreaming each other through Eau Rouge and Radion, and then coming along the Camel Straight. That's basically where people will be really abusing the overtake to try and make a move on Lake Con, where everyone is parked up right now. But that's where we also saw a very infamous Mercedes incident in 2014 between Lewis and Nico on lap 3 of that race, where basically Lewis ran along the outside and Nico just cut him off there. So And yeah, both Mercs, one Merc DNF'd in that race, and the other one finished second in Rosberg. So I guess we can see a lot of action here at Spa, and usually the first few laps will basically see where everyone stands.
Yes, definitely. And yeah, obviously I'm not really up to speed with the F1. I do watch it here and there, but as I do that, we got all the WTCC guys here, so we can see the variances in the colours. So Slappers with the white and red, Aussie with the green and red, and then Ando with the purple and red. So the purple and red machine will be starting on the front row on pole position. So we'll definitely wait and see what happens with these guys as I just going to start the race here. They're all well and good now, but it is really bucketing down. So we'll start again, and there's some sunshine just around the corner for these guys.
So as we get ourselves ready for round 7 of the Trackstars Formula 2, we have Ando 787 from WTCC in first place, Lunacy in second, and then we have Gordok 69 and Nightwalker filling out a second row WRT Motorsport entry with Rusty and Aussie on the third row as we wait for those 5 red lights to go out. It is lights out, green flag racing. Ando's got himself a very good start. Lunacy as well, trying to go side by side with Ando into turn 1. We might see a bit of chaos here coming into turn 1 there. How is everyone on the brakes there? As someone's gone off, and that's Nightwalker, so he's been punted at the beginning of the first corner there, and it looks like I can see Fly Balding as well at the back there. He's also been caught up in this calamity, and Venti as well has also been a part of this incident as well, so he's got himself caught up at the entry on the exit of turn 1 there. So not the start that It's Racing guys wanted, but we look back up to the front. Ando 787 is going on the inside. Lunacy defending from Ando, sorry, defending from Lunacy, I apologise there. And then Ando stays ahead at the end of Lake Com there. At the end of sector 1, it is Ando leading the way ahead of Lunacy with Gordok 69. Aussie has made up a few positions in 4th. Rusty stayed in 5th. Slappers, Nightwalker and Griffo in the top 8.
Yeah, it's a solid start there from Ando, and he's just started to get a little bit of a gap here on Lunacy, but Lunacy, same thing as last week, he doesn't really need to focus on Ando. Obviously it would be nice to get the win, but his main rival champ, he's down here in 9th place, so hopefully he'll wait and see on how it goes. But yeah, Dargs 74 isn't here. Xylon gets really loose through Puhon, so that's very common there for the Formula car to get really loose around there. It runs a little bit deep into those set of S's there. So he's got Rugworth breathing down his neck, and right behind him is Oz Tormentor here. But they're all on the back of Warpath, trying to chase down Griffo. So we'll wait and see if the rain will come into play at the end of it. Yeah, so Ando's really started to gap Lunacy here. So maybe Lunacy's not running as less downforce as Ando, I'm not too sure, but
well, he's caught up a lot on the brakes there, but he just went a little bit too deep, so I think he's just trying to play with Ando just to see where he's weak and where he's strong. But Lunacy's keeping up with Ando. I guess microsectors will say that Lunacy might be catching him in the second sector and towards the back end, but it looks like Ando might just have a little bit more straight line speed over Lunacy throughout this race. But it's a good shout out for Aussie in 4th place ahead of Rusty, but a bit of a shocking start for Nightwalker there, down in 6th, starting in 3rd place or in 4th place. He's just got a little bit of a tap at the beginning of the race, but it looks like he's recovered up into 6th place with Slappers in 7th, Griffo in 8th place. So Slappers is leaving a bit of a gap there over Griffo. So we see Warpath 360 look for an outside move there towards the inside, and then we're going to go too wide into this corner. Xylon's going to go onto the inside. He's going to make a 3 wide between Xylon, Warpath and Griffo. Does he make the move? Does he get a 2 for 1? He does, but he gets hit and contact's made, but Xylon's come through unscathed with a bit of damage on the left-hand side of his car there. So luckily for light damage, that'll go away within 30 seconds, but he made a double move there on Griffo and Warpath. So great move and great racing by Xylon to be up into 8th place.
Yeah, that was very risky there, but looks like we got a bit of lag. Obviously may have happened there because Xylon got damaged but Griffo didn't. So good old GT7 servers playing with us here, but looks like the guys have got the cars pretty stable through Puhon, so that's very good to see that they got a hold of those, because it took me a very long time to get a hold of my Formula. So it's good to see that the Formula 2 guys definitely putting their head down, tuning the cars, and seeing what they can do and making them stand out to the main series teams. So it's wait and see what happens.
I guess in a way, I guess we'll have to to wait and see. Like maybe if we see some drivers as they go through P1, we might be able to see if some drivers are going flat. And as Lunacy is looking for an outside move, so it looks like he's trying to play with Ando, but obviously tries to do a bit of a crisscross undercut move on Ando. Does he get the traction to go onto the main straight on side by side and into the lead? He sets the fastest lap at 55.7, so he's well clear of the guy in third place, which is Gordok 69, and Gordok's coming a little bit of under pressure from Rusty Nuts, as we see Robosport join us in the YouTube comments there. So your boys Rusty in fourth place, putting on a solid performance there, and he's catching up to the right to the back of Gordok 69, but Ando 787 and Lunacy is still neck and neck. They're still fighting it out, and it looks like Lunacy is going to try and make a move on the outside. Who's going to be deep on the brakes here? It's Lunacy versus Ando, just like lap one. Lunacy's gone on the outside. Will Ando go deep on the brakes? He does, and he makes the corner sticks, but great battling between Ando and Lunacy in the early stages, with Gordok and Rusty and Aussie in the top 5.
Yeah, it's definitely been a standout first 3 laps at the moment, so it's good to see that Lunacy's really hustling Ando there, because we know what Ando's like with his speed and how quick he is. He nearly runs a little bit wide there and might get a bit loose, but we'll keep an eye on Ando here to see if he goes flat or he backs off. Oh, he lets off slightly.
Little let off there, looks like, as well. Lunacy's done the same. Rusty's a little bit letting off the car a little bit, so you could probably see some drivers that have opted for maybe a less aerodynamic car, maybe just trying to get some straight line speed, because it is a fast flowing track. Because we see some yellow flags. That Cylon 96 gone tumbling around there, gone spinning sideways. So unfortunately, with GT7 not offering us replay cameras, they can only assume that he did a 360 or just drifted a little bit too wide going to P1.
Yeah, I tried to catch it, but it looks like his softs are starting to wear a bit too, so he's worn a little bit more than what the others are, but I don't think Xylon might not like this track, to be honest, because he's a little bit off the pace there, obviously with the 57.
He's been saying to me that hasn't really been able to find a comfy spot with this car. He said last night was some pretty good running, and then all of a sudden, as a difference that 24 hours makes, that the car just changes out of hand. So we usually see that you can see that usually in supercars. We see some yellow flags. That is Nightwalker, so he's gone off. He's had a bit of an off at the exit of the chicane there, as we see Flyboarding coming up into 7th place, and then we can see Slapper's mate, Griffo, making a move on Nightwalker. No, he doesn't, so he stays right behind. But a little bit, so that's two incidents in the space of 4 laps, or 3 laps, DJ, for Nightwalker. So not the best run that he's having, but we still have Ando leading the way over Lunacy and Gordok 69. But yeah, I was going to say in a way that, I guess in a way sometimes the car's behaviour can be good on one day, and then the next day it might be completely rubbish. And as we see that usually in real life racing as well.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, you can have it in a race and in one day, and then they go out to the grid the next day, and the car just completely handles totally different. So obviously, it's good to see that it's coming through onto the game here. But Lunacy was 1.3 behind Ando, and he pulled 3/10 through less comms there. So he's definitely got the higher aero to accommodate for the corners there, but I personally don't know if that's the way to go, obviously being the long distancing, but it also will come into play with the rain there. Will more aero give you more grip in the rain with the wet tyres? So that'll definitely be something to think about. Obviously getting power down, carrying more speed through the corners and stuff like that. So
let's see if we can ride on board with Lunacy as he's coming up towards the chicane here, as we see Lunacy.
Nope, broken again.
That's all right. Anyway, but we'll see Lunacy coming up towards, and I wanted to see how these boys go coming towards each other. What is the difference that these boys have in setup? Because as we saw in Brands Hatch between Ando and Lunacy, Ando was just running away with the lead until he made a lot of mistakes there, but Lunacy wasn't able to keep up with Ando in that race. But it looks like Lunacy's found something in that car, and you can even see behind Gordok 69, he's come out of nowhere. He's hanging around in 3rd place, and he's got his eye open on the top 2 as well, so he's about probably 3 seconds behind Ando 787. So it's a good showing there by Gordok in 3rd place.
Yeah, so just watching the times there, Ando went from 0.3 to 1.7 all the way from the start of turn 1 to the end of Camel Straight, and instantly you can see that gap come down there, down to
Oh,
0.3.
he's made a mistake though, coming into Rivage there, as we see Lunacy come through the Jackie X corner, turn 11, the corner that formerly known as No Name is now being paid tribute to the late great Jackie X from Belgium. This is trying to go around the outside through Pouon. There's Lunacy and Ando. They're still going at it, DJ, but like you said there, Ando's got superior straight line speed. Does he go for the move there? No, he doesn't. Oh, I thought he was going to stick the nose up on that chicane there, coming through Fagnus, and then coming through to 15-16. Contact made between Ando and Lunacy. I wonder if there was a bit of a lag spike there between the two drivers, but my goodness, these guys are duking it out there, and it's only lap 5, DJ, and I can see from the outside the commentary box, the clouds are rolling in, and I wonder if these drivers are going to start preparing to get those wet tyres on their cars as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's gone really dark now too, so it's definitely going to be something to think about. And we're going to wait and see who will be the first to put those tyres on, and who will be caught out with those. So we'll wait and see. Oh, Xylon's dropped down here to 15th, so he's made a massive mistake there. So he's got a 2 minutes 4 and 2 minutes 16, so it looks like he's had a few spins.
Yeah, as I said, he's definitely not feeling the car this evening, so he'll want to try and make sure he can just do what he can this race, try regather, and obviously try to hope for a better car in the main series. Obviously a little bit of over an hour and a half's time until the main series starts up. But yeah, not the race that Zyla wanted to remember, that's for sure. But as we see, Gordok 69 there, and what's going on here? We've missed out there. Ando and Lunacy are down into 3rd and 4th. So I wonder, DJ, was there contact between those two drivers in turn 1?
By the looks of it, Lunacy's got front right aero damage, so I'd assume so. But in doing that, it's put Gordok and Rusty up into 1st and 2nd, so...
Oh, nice. Very good, awesome display for Gordok, and even Rusty Nuts there. So if Robert Ford is still in the chat there, he'll be delighted to see Rusty, his driver, and Rusty Nuts in 2nd place there. But my goodness, what we just saw was a battle for 1st and 2nd. It's now down in 3rd and 4th there, when Aussie right behind, about 2 seconds behind Lunacy. So how the tables have turned, DJ, but I think what I can see there's a few little spits of rain coming in for those drivers there. So the dark clouds are rolling in, and Gordok and Rusty are the pioneers if they come into the pit lane, or whether they stay out for those extra lap.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see who's going to be the first one there. But Ando's got Lunacy all over the back of him again. So I don't think Lunacy's going to be able to have a run on Ando here, obviously, because of the setup difference and having less aero there. But we'll wait and see. He's using his overtake. So he's just pulling Lunacy along, but I wonder if Lunacy will go deep under brakes here. No, he just pulls in. So Gordok's made it move. Rusty's in the pits. Ando's in the pits. Lunacy's in the pits. Aussie stays out.
Oh, Aussie's going to risk it.
Slappers stays out as well. Oh, what's going on here? Will they be called out? Nightwalker's in the pits. Griffo's in the pits. Oh, Soul Reaper's in.
So I wonder if these guys are seeing something that they don't, that we're not seeing. Obviously, from the radar's perspective, that they're all changing over to, you would say, from the soft tires to the intermediate tires. But actually, no, we actually see some wet tires there. So this is quite interesting.
And
Ando's gone on the soft, it's gone on the hard tires, and my goodness, I wonder if that was a blunder. Oh, there's contact made between Ando and Lunacy. I think Ando just realized that he made an absolute mistake there, and it looks like he's going to be retiring that car. As you see, drivers like Rugworth still stay out there, and his day's gone from bad to worse, gone from their hard tires and what would have been the intermediate tires. But these guys, Aussie, Slappers, and Rugworth, the only pioneers staying out on track. I think they're going to pay it. I think it's not going to be a good thing for these guys, because they've got a long way back to the pit lane. They're only approaching turn 12 now, and there's only another 8 more corners to go.
Yeah, you can see that water meter on the bottom left there. It's gone up to the first tab, slowly rising. So this water's coming down. Did they play it right with this? I don't know, because Gordok's really pulling in time. 110.
Slappers just ran a little bit wide there, and I guess these guys are just going to be going through. And as we can see there, DJ, the weather has come down. between the WTCC boys. Slappers takes the lead. Aussie will go second, but Gordok's going to go right off. It's going to go cruising on by with these drivers here. I want to look back into Rugwest to see a retirement from Ando 787 there. So I think the bad call that Ando made, he paid consequences with that. And unfortunately for Ando, picking the wrong tyres at the wrong time, unfortunate for him. And as he was looking for a solid lead there, that Lunacy, Rusty and Gordok 69, well played by those drivers. And I think right back there as well is Nightwalker, also on the intermediate or wet tyres, I believe. I think that's wet tyres.
Everyone's jumped on the wets here. We've got Rugworth on engine damage. He took the gamble as well. That definitely didn't pay off there, so that's very unfortunate.
No, so all these drivers coming at the back there. So as we see Flight Boarding come through on wet tyres, and we have Cylon as well on the wets as well, Tormentor right behind. So this rain is bucketing down, DJ. It looks undrivable, basically reminiscent of the Grand Prix last year. As we see some drivers come through. Warpath, he's come through with a bit of a spin there. So these drivers, the drivers that come through pre-qualifying did, obviously, we explained to them that it was going to be dry running, but obviously maybe they haven't been able to set their car up. As we look back to the front, it looks like I can see Rusty Nuts has taken the lead over Gordok 69 there. So a bit of a play there, a bit of a move there made on Gordok. Looks like he's made a mistake somewhere, because it looks like Rusty's pulled away, and he's pulled away massively. So Rusty Nuts for RoboSport Racing in the lead, with Gordok in second for WRT, and then Lunacy for the Project One in third place, Nightwalker in fourth, and Aussie in fifth place. But I'm pretty sure Aussie will have to come in and take that pit stop for fresh tyres, for at least for wet tyres, I'd say.
Yeah, he's jumped on the intermediates there, so that might be a bit of a gamble there for Aussie. Oh, as he does that, he runs a little bit wide.
I think at the beginning it is a gamble, because obviously the rain is coming down, and it's coming down heavy. But I think with the amount of cars on track, I think the track will pretty much we'll start to see that dry line, and maybe the intermediates will come into play. So I wouldn't count out Aussie just yet, but you could see through the track map as well, like all the way down from Aussie down to probably, I'd say, Slappers. The gap is really close to each other. Oh, not Slappers.
Griffo.
I believe that is Griffo, yeah. So Griffo, so all the way down to Nightwalker, Aussie and Griffo. Those guys are pretty close to each other. As we see down there, a solid honourable mention goes to Venti there. It looks like he's holding on into ninth place, so from the back of the grid to ninth. So that's a nice showing from the It's Racing boys in the top 10, with Rugworth in 10th place. But you can see there the gaps are massive, DJ, and Rugworth's come through with a 3-second penalty, so he must have crossed the line upon entry or exit. So not a day for the MSR boys, but so far for the RoboSport camp, it is first place for RoboSport's team.
Yeah, at the moment it's first for Rusty Nuts there, but he's got Lunacy on the hunt, so he's pulled about a second and a half there in Gordok in the last lap. So I'm wondering if Lunacy's done some wet weather practice on this car, because obviously he will be running tonight in main series as well. Oh, we can see those cars getting real squirrely out of that last corner there. He gets on the overtake, tries to go around the outside of Gordok here. I'm not too sure that's the play. He might go for it over under. Oh, Rusty Nuts looks like he's locked the brake into turn 1, and that time's come down from 4 seconds down to 2.5. So that's definitely going to make a bit of a worry here for Rusty, because Lunacy is on the hunt for that first place. He's just eating that time away. Look at that time come down: 1.9, 1.8, 1.7, 1.6. He's just eating that away.
Absolutely, so we don't want to take our eyes off it. I can imagine there's you can see on the track map how spread out the field is. It's incredible. So we see Venti go spinning sideways there. He's not chucking in the reverse, ladies and gentlemen. He just had a massive spin there, but he's still holding on to the top 9, surprisingly, after that spin. But yeah, looking at that track map, it is so well spread out, and the rain has caused havoc amongst these drivers here. As we try to look back towards the front there, I want to see how close Lunacy is to Rusty, and you can see it there visually, DJ. We only missed out on a couple of corners, and he's already caught up there to the rear end of the RoboSport entry in the number 269 in Rusty Nuts, ahead of Lunacy, the car 19, with Gordok 69 in the car 100. And we could see a lead change between Lunacy and Rusty in a matter of moments, and I'll probably say in a matter of corners actually. But we know Lunacy has been a very great driver in the wet weather, especially in main series and even in F Formula 2 that his wet weather pace is just incredible. I don't know how he finds it, but my goodness, the confidence that Lunacy has in wet weather running is just amazing.
Yeah, obviously from experience, from watching him, he's got, even in dry running, he's got a lot of pace behind him, but personally I think he just tries to use it a little bit too much and he just makes those tiny little mistakes. So you can see him running through those puddles. Those can make a big effect, and that track's starting to really dry up there.
But the rain is still coming down. It looks like one of the drivers that are on the intermediate tyres will start to claw back the advantage there. So I wonder who was the first one on the intermediates. I think that was Aussie, that was one of the only drivers on the intermediate tyres. So will the track dry up fast enough for it to be, for any driver to put on some slick tyres? We're not so sure yet. But even guys with intermediates, they could be coming in later on this evening. But about a 31-second gap between Aussie and Lunacy, so that's a tall order for Aussie to try and close in that gap. He'll be reeling in the gap. He'll be closing that gap pretty fast. But I don't know, with about 5 laps to go, I'm not so sure if he will be able to pull it off. We have Lunacy ahead of Rusty, so looks like so far the plan has worked out for Lunacy, battling with Ando 787. A wrong call for Ando to change on was going to be a wet track, but unfortunately changed to dry tyres there. So unfortunate for Ando to retire from the race there as well. And it promotes Rusty and Gordok onto the podium with Nightwalker. A great recovery drive by Nightwalker after his calamities in the first few laps in 4th place there.
Yeah, he's definitely pulled that back, but wait and see what that time from Nightwalker comes back with. So he's slowly pulling a couple of tenths from Gordok. So I think Gordok may have set his car up for the dry and not really for the wet. It's obviously hard here trying to set up a dry car and a wet car, because obviously self they handle completely differently, but that may come into play here as Nightwalker's pulled basically half a second in a matter of say 5 corners on Gordok. So not only that, when he catches Rusty, they'll start battling, and that time will also come down. Just as I say that, he loses some tenths. So there's a lot of factors that come into play, obviously running wide, going through puddles, all that kind of stuff, but you can see the track's really starting to dry up now.
So I wonder if someone comes in with wet tyres and they make the move onto intermediates, or possibly with because it is such a long track, DJ. One part of the track it could be dry, and then the other one, and then the rest of the track could be soaking wet, especially down here. As we see Rusty Nuts come in the pit, is he going to be the first pioneer on the dry tyres, DJ? As we see the Robo Sport entry enter the pit lane.
Yeah, that's to me, I think that might be maybe 1 lap early for an early call, but we'll definitely wait and see. As Lunacy's got quite a bit of a gap there, but you can see that dry line really coming through. With 4 laps to go, so this will definitely be one to see. So we'll wait and see what Rusty goes on here. Oh, he's gone on to the intermediates.
Ooh, so intermediates. So I guess some drivers are trying to stick it out on the wet tyres just to try and see. But look at that dry line forming, DJ. That line is appearing, and I just wonder if someone from the back there, maybe a Gordok or a Nightwalker, whether they might respond, and they could say to themselves, well, why don't I try and put on the soft tyres on, or why don't I try and put on the medium tyres to try and see if I can get a good running with grip, because they've got nothing to lose.
Xylon was the first. Xylon, he's on racing softs. Sorry, I just missed that. So he's on the racing softs there. So he was the first to pull the pin, and he's gaining time to Rugworth. And he's gaining that quickly. Look at that time come down. 4.4. 3.1, 3.8, 3.4, 3 flat. Did he make the right call? That's the question. Obviously, a minute 48 is a bit hard and it's a bit early, but he's eaten down. He's eaten 3.5 seconds just in that small straight there. So, was the slicks here the right call? Personally, for me, I think it would be. But someone else has jumped in. Oh, Venti's jumped onto the softs.
So Venti's also come onto the soft tyres in 9th place there. So Venti, another of the front runners in 9th place, jumping on the soft tyres there. So with about 4 laps to go, DJ, we're going to see Venti and Xylon 96 with the softest, with the slick tyres. I wonder how much ground they're going to be able to pull through, but Lunacy still leads the way, comfortably leads the way ahead of Gordok in 2nd place. About 7 seconds between those drivers there. Flyboarding is the blue flag offender for Lunacy to try and get past as quickly as he can. As we see some yellow flags, as we see some drivers going round, looks like it's Warpath 360. It's doing a bit of a 360 no scope there, no pun intended. But we see Lunacy ahead of Gordok and Nightwalker. So I think Nightwalker is catching, but we've got to keep our eyes on Xylon 96. How much quicker is his lap time? So far he's set a 2:07 there, but obviously that's him just getting used to conditions. And if you look on the left-hand side, DJ, with how much standing water there is on the track, I think the soft tyres might be the right call, but it's just about making those overtakes.
Yeah, and obviously making those overtakes, it's going to be on the wet, so that'll be definitely rough there. Oh, as he comes on the back of Tormentor here, Tormentor is on the wets, Xylon's on the softs. Oh, he goes wide.
Oh, he just saves a beautiful move on the outside for Xylon 96 on Tormentor. So great move there. And we see Soul Reaper now, the driver, to go onto the soft tyres there. He's got himself a very good gap over Venti, so he can afford to put on a set of soft tyres. But I guess in a way, if you have a good gap like that, DJ, as we see a bit of a spin there for Tormentor there, so unfortunate for Tormentor and some of the WRT boys in Warpath and Tormentor outside the top 10, but their main drivers in Gordok and Nightwalker rounding up the podium. So some good for WRT, some bad for WRT, but we have to see who is going to be the next one for those soft tyres, DJ, with only about 2.5 laps to go. Will Gordok pull the pin? Will Nightwalker pull the pin? Or maybe a Rusty or Griffo? We'll have to wait and see as these guys start their final couple of laps there. So we see Gordok 69, they're having off. He's gone off through turns 13 and 14, and oh, what a shame for Gordok. And Rusty Nuts has come through into 3rd place there. So I wonder, these drivers are having enough with these tyres, and I wonder if the wet tyres or the intermediate tyres are just wearing through thick and fast. I wonder if Lunacy will start the pit, because he can afford to make a pit stop.
He can afford to make a pit stop, but can he afford to stay out? That's the question. We've got Xylon motoring through here, and look how dry the track is now. There's basically little to no water. So if that was me, I'd be pitting for slicks. I would have probably done that maybe 1 or 2 laps ago. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a risky call here, staying out on the wet. So he's doing 2:07s, and we'll go back here to Xylon. So Xylon's doing 2:05. So I mean, the pace is very close, but how hot are those wets going to get? But jumping into chat, we've got Brando saying, have a go, Billy, screw you, Spud DJ for president, mate. Thank you, Mr. Brando. And we've got Mr. Ridwan in here saying, hello, DJ, made a team. I'm not lazy. Venti the goat. Venti is a goat, mate. Look at him here. He's in 9th place, doing top job on his debut here. So couldn't be more proud of Venti here. So we'll wait and see if catches Soul Reaper. Who's gone off? Is that Warpath? Yeah.
It's interesting. It's very interesting to see with all these drivers. As we see the top 3, we see Rusty Nuts is gone into 2nd and Gordok is back into 3rd. So I wonder if Nightwalker's had another incident. Yes, he has. So luckily we've caught that, DJ. And Aussie goes through into 4th place, and Nightwalker just when he finds consistency, then he finds it a little bit on edge there. As we see another yellow flag. No driver there. I think that's just a back marker. But we only got about 1 1/4 of laps to go. Lunacy still out on the wet tyres. Rusty in 2nd, Gordok in 3rd, Aussie in 4th, Griffo now into 5th. And obviously we see Nightwalker tumbling down the order, DJ. He's literally got no speed, and look at that. He's actually gone through it. He's made a lot of errors there. But luckily for him, the gap between him and Venti is massive. But the gap between Venti and Xylon is closing to get that 9th place. So it's a nice little battle between you and me, between the It's Racing and the MSR car, who will come out on top with only a couple more laps to go. But as I said, as we look back up towards the top, Aussie now is on the podium, DJ. So has Gordok gone into the pits? No, he hasn't. He's also gone off. So what I was saying about the WRT boys having a great run to get themselves on the podium, there is no WRT on the podium as Lunacy crosses the line for the final lap here, DJ. But my goodness, the order just changes left, right, front, and center. You can't call it.
Yeah, no, you can't call it definitely, but maybe personally, I think that's those wet tires here. But Soul Reaper's on the slick, so he's coming through. So I reckon he'll get the next 2 positions in front of him, very, very shortly. So that's
Oh, he's got one.
Gordok's jumping into the pits now, so he'll probably put some slicks on there.
Slicks on the exit. So let's just keep an eye on Soul Reaper DJ just for a little bit. So he can say, like you said, he's on the slick tyres. He's got the advantage, and look at that. You could just see the massive traction that he's got over Slapper's mate 117. I think there's a bit of a bigger gap between him and Aussie, so I don't think he'll be able to get a podium, but at least a 4th place for Slapper's mate. For Soul Reaper, that'll be a great position just to fix up the calamities of what WRT had, and a 4th place for him would be a very good reward. But as we come through towards Puon for the final time for Lunacy, we'll keep an eye on Soul Reaper to see if he starts to make a move. He's gaining pretty fast on his competitor there. Wow, you can see that he makes a move, beautiful move there through Malmedy into turn 9 there, and then coming through to turn 10 in Rivage. That is a great stuff for Soul Reaper. So hats off to Soul Reaper, who's actually high up in the championship. I think he's 7th in the championship standing. So that's great to see for Soul Reaper to be up there. But as we come across for the final time, we'll check out Lunacy is coming towards their end of Blanchimont for the final time, DJ. Obviously, for this driver, he can't be touched. He looks like to be the wet weather master in variable conditions and wet weather conditions, with Rusty and Aussie on the podium, but no one can touch Lunacy. The championship leader has gone back-to-back victories here in Trackstars Formula 2 for the final time out of the chicane. It is Lunacy for Project 1 Racing taking the checkered flag and the victory for Trackstars Formula 2 for round 7 for the Belgian Grand Prix. An honourable mention for Rusty Nuts, his first podium in Trackstars Formula 2, and then another one for Aussie Hypnotic. But as we see, no, that was Flyboard. I thought that was Soul Reaper there. But Aussie, another, I think it's his 3rd race, actually, I think, for Formula Track, for the Trackstars Formula 2. He gets himself a podium there. So that's a great reward for Aussie in 3rd place, with Slapper's mate in 4th and Soul Reaper rounding up the top 5. So I wonder if Soul Reaper made a mistake on that last lap. Maybe pushed a little bit too hard, got on the wet stuff, DJ. But that brings him down into 5th place.
Yeah, that's definitely a solid drive there from Lunacy, as he just extends his championship. But that gap came down from Rusty to Lunacy, obviously, because you can see the difference in the tyre wear. But yeah, that was definitely a risky call there for Lunacy for staying out on the wets on that dry track. As you can see, the wear on those rears are definitely gone. But definitely cooked there. We see Gordok just keep ahead of Griffo there, and then as we scroll down to Nightwalker 964, unlucky for Nightwalker to beat down in 8th place. I think he would have been in quite contention there for a podium, at least a solid 2nd place. And then Xylon 96 comes through into 9, so a nice top 10 for Xylon after what looked to be a very tricky race there, with Venti in 10th, and 11th place is Tormentor, 12th belongs to Rugworth, 13th belongs to Flyboarding, and 14th place to Warpath 316, with Ando 787, the only DNF in this round, as we see Venti coming across the line for his debut race in Trackstars Formula 2. But the winner of round 7, DJ, no one can touch this man. Lunacy takes the victory and extends his championship lead massively over Xylon 96. Can anyone stop Lunacy from taking out this championship? At the moment, looks like they'll need to get their thinking caps on and see what they can do. Because at the moment, Lunacy really seems unstoppable in that number 19 Project 1 Racing. But I think, personally, he may be getting a little bit of guidance from Mr. Team Manager Viper Z. So, maybe, just maybe, he might be getting a bit of guidance, making himself faster to try and get on that main series grid for the either the rest of the season or possibly touring cars or something like that. But he's making a showing for his debut year as well.
Yeah, well, we're seeing some great pace from Lunacy in the Porsche Super Cup earlier this season. Yeah, he's always been hanging out inside the top 10, the top 8, and even trying to challenge the front runners in the pro class. But we never really got to see the Lunacy that he would put on the solid performances and the fast pace. But now we're seeing that in Formula Racing. And like you said, he could be getting some guidance from the boys back in satellite racing with Speedy Tyres and Red One. And I think the team has got confidence in Lunacy that he's got the pace over the rest of his F2 competitors.
Yeah, he certainly took a toll on this one as well. He didn't push the car too far. He didn't make any mistakes, anything like that. So he's made a pretty solid running here. He obviously didn't, as I said, didn't make any mistakes. Got a good start. Sat there behind Anna for a little bit, and then it's just unlucky there that someone on the softs wasn't further up the grid that could have possibly run through the field and taken it to him at the end there. But solid performance as he extends that championship there. Obviously Zolan finished in 9th, which is obviously unfortunate for Zolan, but good recovery for him as well.
But for him to be inside the top 10, I mean, get some points, some consolation points to keep second place. Obviously he's sealed that second place for the moment. But Lunacy is just banking in back-to-back victories, so 200-300 points. So Lunacy gets 2 wins. Silence got 3 this evening, and we had Slappers getting the other one as well. I think there's another victory somewhere along the lines. I can't remember who. But I guess for these boys, Zurich, of course, my own teammate.
Yeah.
Of course. And but it's good to see some drivers, especially Lunacy, step up. Obviously, he had a bit of a tough start to the year, but it looks like I think that main game racing that he's been doing a lot of, and subbing for satellite racing drivers, and even one appearance for CP Motorsports. I think that's helping him get his confidence in the car.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, racing with the main series guys, they are slightly faster, a little bit cleaner. So maybe that might be one to put in his bank there. He's just trying to focus on himself and get his racecraft better, which obviously is definitely showing. Because at the moment, he's the Shane Van Gisbergen of the Formula 2, just like Woodsy was the Shane Van Gisbergen of main series. So it's definitely a fantastic one to see all these young guys, and they're not. I wouldn't say, young was probably the bad word, but yeah, they're very fast considering they don't have as much experience in, say, Formula 2 or main series. So to see him coming through, being so fast in such short amount of time, it's definitely very good to see.
Absolutely. Well, we'll say more words as in rookies, as at least rookies for the series. But we've seen Lunacy before, so obviously keep an eye on Lunacy as we get ourselves ready for round 8 of the Formula 2 Championship. So we want to thank our viewers so much for tuning in for this Trackstars Formula 2 round 7, won by Lunacy from the Project 1 racing team. Second place belonged to Rusty Nuts for the Robbo Sport Camp. So Robbo's going to be very happy with this drive, with his latest signing in Rusty Nuts in second place, and then a very solid performance there by Aussie in third place to round up the end of the podium there. So that's it, DJ. Round 7 complete, on to round 8, but in an hour's time we're going to see our Formula Track Stars coming in very shortly, with Broccolilli hosting the stream and bringing you all the coverage in an hour's time. But from us here at Track Stars Formula 2, we'll see you guys next week for round 8.